Thank you to everybody who joined me this morning for my 200 push-ups. We have 1 day left in the Push for Better challenge, 2,000 push-ups over 23 days. Tomorrow is the last day, and there are 150 push-ups to go. So I'm very excited for that. Thank you to everybody who's been doing them with me. Push for Better challenge. I've left the links as to where you can donate to Canadian Mental Health Association. The reason that 200 was today's target I'll let you know in 1 second. Let me just pull it up. Is because, and I posted this on our socials as well, this is from the Push for Better Canadian Mental Health Association Challenge, is because globally, more than twice as many men die by their own hand than women. More than twice as many men die by their own hand than women. So I think we as Freemasons also are in a position to think about, care about, focus on mental health and our mental health, challenges of men. Freemasonry is not Freemasonry is not exclusively a fraternity. There is the Order of Women Freemasons. There is also Co-Masonry. There is Eastern Star. There's Rainbow. However, I think most people think about, and I think fairly so, Freemasonry first and foremost as a fraternity. As a consequence of that, it's completely fair, I think, for us to think about and consider how we can support men who are struggling with mental health issues, whether it be to the point of they're considering self-harming or, and by the way, cutting self-harm is not necessarily the same as ideation about taking one's own life. However, whatever it is, whatever struggles somebody's having, whether it is kind of ultimately to take one's own life or through to just harming oneself or withdrawing or mental health issues or substance use issues, I think it's important that we in Freemasonry think about ways that we can support men who are struggling. So we'll discuss that, but as always, the first 60 minutes, I just hang out and wait to see who joins and wait to see who wants to chat. So anything you guys want to talk about for the first bit when it comes to Freemasonry, please let me know. Positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. So for the time being, though, let's wait to see who joins. Again, any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral on Freemasonry, jump in the chat, let me know. For the first bit, it's just going to be about, again, general questions. After the first 60 minutes, it's ways we can support men who may be struggling with mental health issues within the fraternity that is Freemasonry. Hello, raised eyebrow. Have you managed to dig out of the snow? I know that you got a ton of snow in your neck of the woods. So I hope that you managed to dig yourself out of it a little bit. How many presidents were Freemasons? Either 15 or 16. One has disputed membership, Joe Biden. So 15 or 16 out of 45. I heard that actually, again, this is not political, different people have different views on Zoran Mandami, I know. However, I heard that he seemed to have handled his first, I don't know if you want to call it crisis, but his first issue, his first, major challenge, the snowstorm, well. I heard that snow was cleared pretty quickly. So great job, New York. Well done. Keep up the good work. To be a Freemason or to be a president? Being a president's an exclusive club. Being a Freemason, there are anything from custodians to bartenders to um, politicians to lawyers to unemployed to retirees to anything in between, to those on a pension, disability, whatever it might be. So Freemasonry is not exclusive either in terms of financially or the type of job you have or the socioeconomic background you have or whatever else it might be. Um, so there is no Masonic doctrines. Every Mason is because Freemason is not a religion nor is it political. So every Mason will have his own or her own opinions, I suppose, on different groups. I would suggest in general, though, what Freemasonry from an ethical standpoint reminds us of is the importance of tolerance and respect and kindness to our brothers, whether they be Jewish or Hindu or Sikh or Muslim or Christian. So I can say for myself personally, I've sat in lodge with Jewish brethren and I've been good friends with Jewish people. I think Freemasonry reminds us of the importance of tolerance and respecting all individuals. So there you go. Good raised eyebrow. Keep up. I'm glad to hear it. I've been to New York once, despite all of my travels, and I've been lucky enough to travel frequently. Sadly, I have not really had the chance to travel to New York as frequently as I would like. So maybe, fingers crossed, um, we can change that one day. Who knows? And I can get myself to New York. Hello, Raj of God. Well, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to leave out the Muslims, nor are we going to leave out anyone. 9/11 was not the consequence of Muslims. It was a consequence of individuals um, acting, acting as terrorists. But you never blame a entire group of people, an entire religion, an entire ideology. Well, certainly you never blame an entire religion for the actions of the worst actors. I've sat in lodge with many Muslim individuals, and they are my brothers and they are my friends, and they are welcome to sit with me in lodge. Right now, I mean, that's become a big thing, raised eyebrow. Uh, right now with Mississippi. To my knowledge, there's two remaining Grand Lodges that do not recognize Prince Hall in the United States of America. There is an initiation to become a Freemason, a ceremony of initiation. Raj, I've sat next to many Muslims. None of them have ever tried to kill me. So I can't speak to what their book says. I can speak to my interactions with them and my involvement with them, which has always been nothing but good and respectful. So you can take that for whatever you want. I mean, yeah, we don't discriminate based on religious grounds either. Um, I don't know. Things when he called me Mossad. Asper, well, that's foolish. I'm not Mossad. I don't think I could be Mossad. Aside from the fact I'm missing my legs, and I feel like you probably need to have your legs to be any type of intelligence agent. I'm also probably not tough enough to go through intelligence agency training of any sort, whether it be the Mossad or CIA. Those guys are tough as nails, I'm sure. Thank you, Herzen Ritter. All right, Roger, you have to calm down. We don't slander anybody's religious beliefs, including Muslims. They are all welcome on this chat, and they are all welcome within Freemasonry. I'm definitely will not say I'm the toughest man you've seen. You got to see more people then, but I do work hard. Whoa, Herzen. Now you leave Raj of God. We're not going to have any fights in this stream. You both need to calm down, or you're both going to be on a 5-minute timeout. Um, so both of you guys are just going to relax a little bit. Um, well, I'm sure that's true, Jay, but I'm also sure they're pretty tough. I mean, pretty smart. I mean, I think the best example probably of intelligence personnel, one of my favorite movies was Charlie Wilson's War. And I really liked, I can't think of his name now. I really liked Philip Seymour Hoffman. when he, his CIA agent. I thought it was a really good portrayal of probably what CIA agents are actually like. But still, whether you work in a desk or not, I suspect you got to be pretty tough to be in the intelligence field, both mentally and physically. Um, well, then just be careful what you say, and you can stick around. What is a Freemasons? Again, there is no Freemason position. That's not how it works. There is no single governing body, right, that controls positions. I will say my favorite Masonic transposition comes from the United Grand Lodge of England, which says if you are, let's say, born female but transition to male, or assigned female at birth but transition to male, you can sit in you can join a fraternal Masonic lodge. And the same thing is true in the opposite sense. And more importantly, um, whether you're trans or not is nobody's business outside of your own. So there you go. He did a great. I mean, he's one of the greatest actors of all time. I think his villain turn in the Mission Impossible movie was incredible. So I also thought he was good in Hunger Games. I'm not a huge fan of Hunger Games, but I did like Philip Seymour Hoffman's character in them. It's not one that I'm necessarily though like super interested in. For me, as you probably know, it's all about the scary movies. That is true, Raj of God. Hello, Bianchi. Good night. I do not know what the yo-yo toy is, but this chat is non-religious. Yes. By the way, thank you for sending me that invitation. I would have come out for it, but I got a meeting that night. Yes, raised eyebrow, and that can happen. It doesn't happen very often because it tends to create a whole bunch of issues and challenges and difficulties and ill feelings, but it can happen. It's happened historically. In World War II, for example, United Grand Lodge of England, to my knowledge, stopped recognizing Masons in Germany before Hitler ended up, anyways, outlawing Freemasonry in Germany and putting them in concentration camps. Because every Grand Lodge decides for itself which other Grand Lodges and bodies it will or will not recognize, which does create challenges. That's why, as a Freemason, if you're traveling, you should always know in advance which jurisdictions are recognized or not recognized. So you know you're visiting the recognized one. The best way to learn about that is to talk to your secretary or talk to your Grand Lodge. They should have a list that's updated. It's decided usually every year at the Grand Lodge annual communication. However, it can be decided by the Grand Master if there's some type of emergent situation. Sometimes recognitions are provided or removed based on the recommendations of the Council on Recognition or Regularity, as through the North American Grand Masters Conference. I'm getting that horribly mixed up, the terms. There's a committee, I think it's called Committee on Recognition in North America, that every year writes a report and makes recommendations as to which jurisdictions it thinks should be recognized and should not be recognized around the world. And grandmasters in Canada, in America, in North America, are free to kind of take those recommendations and either approve of them or ignore them. Strong forever, I am a Mason. And yes, Beeman Grove is not Masonic. Strong forever, I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason for 20 years, just about. I started this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. No, you cannot. I mean, if you're a Freemason already, then certainly you can talk to your worshipful master about starting a new lodge. There's a process that goes into it. Ultimately, you need approval of the Grand Lodge in which you're located. It has to be regular. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from putting a sign on your wall, on your garage. It says, "This is the War is Stupid Masonic Lodge," but it won't be recognized. So Do I believe it probably is the oldest fraternity? What would be older? I mean, the oldest continuous fraternity. Obviously, there have been fraternities throughout history, but none that have survived. I mean, I believe in Jesus Christ, the individual historical figure. I'm not Christian, so I'm not quite sure what you're asking. But I Freemasonry is not religious, so we have many different Masons and many different religious beliefs. So there you go. You have to pay dues to be a Freemason. Rosicrucianism is older, is it? I'm not sure. It could be. According to the friends at Google, the age of the Rosicrucian order depends on whether one refers to its traditional, symbolic, or historical origins, with claims ranging from 1500 to early 20th century. The ancient and mystical order Rosicrucia, the largest and most prominent modern Rosicrucian group, was established in the United States in 1915. The movement first became publicly known through the publication of Fama Fraternitatis and other manifestos in Germany between 1610 and 1615. So there you go. It could be. Well, is there, I know what a yo-yo is, but what does that have to do with the chat? So the Eastern Stars are, a good way to think about it is as a female branch of Freemasonry. That's kind of a decent way to think about it. They were started in, if I recall correctly, Mississippi in 1850, initially for female members of, like female family members of Masonic membership. So if you were the wife, the mother, the daughter, the sister of a Mason, you could join. Now it's been expanded to females kind of in general. There's also the Order of Women Freemasons as well, though. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but I would say, I mean, they could just want to shake your hand. They could just have old school manners. That's not inherently an indication that they are a Mason. Well, first of all, I'm guessing you're British, Nam, if you're saying, are you good at maths? No, I'm terrible at math, or maths, if you will. So there you go. And Freemasonry is not satanic worship strong forever. Freemasonry is not a religion, so there is no worship, either of Satan or anything else. Individuals have their own religious beliefs. They could believe, for example, they could be Christian, they could be Muslim, they could be Jewish. I find math incredibly hard and very, very challenging. So yeah. I mean, the square and compasses, they've been a very common symbol throughout history, not exclusively to Freemasons, right? They were part of Chinese mythology. Different trades use squares. It's one of those things where Freemasonry is not the exclusive group to use the square and compasses, right? And so if you find yourself strangely drawn to it, maybe you will find Freemasonry of interest, or maybe you will find carpentry of interest or trades of interest. I mean, the square and compasses have been common symbols throughout human history. That is true, Dad. That's a good point. Maybe that's the good metaphor. Sometimes things are good, sometimes things are not so good. That's kind of what life is. Thank you, Raj, for being here. I hope you're doing well. I would say geometry is maybe the most spiritual type of math. Some do, some don't. It just depends on I mean, I don't know what you mean by work in the community. Do you mean have jobs or do volunteer work? Good for you. I can't do anything in terms of like manual labor. I can't build anything. I can't fix anything. My dad was a great engineer and he could build and fix things all the time. He worked in trains for years. I cannot do any of that stuff to save my life. You ask me to fix something, I'm going to break it. I'm going to break it even worse than it started. So don't ask me to fix anything. Just for the record. Thank you, Jason. I do my best. Thank you for being here. I hope that you are doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Just looking at something here. That's true. And I mean, I could learn, but I will also say, in my experience, it's just not skills that I necessarily have, unfortunately. But no disrespect. It's an incredible skill. So for heaven's sakes, if you have them, nothing but respect to you for having those skills, right? Because again, it's not something I have, but I could learn. It's kind of like YouTube, right? The I keep working hard on them and trying to get better at it, and every day I think I get a little bit better. At least I work hard to try to get better every day, which I think is as it should be. So Damien, I have done an episode in the past about the connection or the times when Freemasonry is mentioned within the Epstein files. So I guess you can check out that episode. Yeah, the sextant from back in the day. Those were really cool. On ships, I've said it before, I'll say it again. When it comes to Freemasonry, it is a child of both, it is a child of both um, the stone and water, right? Stone, because it obviously stonemasonry, right? Evolved from stonemasons and the profession. Water, because without the Navy and without sailing ships and without naval capabilities, Freemasonry would never have made it off the island of England and been able to spread around the rest of the world. So there you go. Well, you can be Jewish and a Freemason. However, Epstein was not a Freemason. So there's no evidence that I've seen, anyways, that he was, in fact, a Freemason. So you can take that for whatever it's worth, I suppose. I mean, again, I'm not sure to what you're referring. He was not um, I mean, whether he was Mossad or not, I have no clue. I can only speak to the Masonic conspiracy theories surrounding Epstein and say, once again, Jeffrey Epstein was not a Freemason. At least there is no evidence that he was. Thank you, Damien. Well, I know. I think I've known some people who converted to Judaism. So, it's one of those things where I think I've heard of known some people who converted to Judaism. So, one of those things where, you know, I think that when it comes to an individual's faith, they absolutely have the right or should have the right to approach their faith however they so choose. That may mean later on in life, it's very possible that they will, find a different faith than what they were born or convert. I know you can convert to Judaism, to Catholicism. I think you can convert to the Muslim faith as well. They may stay with whatever faith it is of their families, or like who knows, right? And again, this is one of those things where it's not in anybody's place to judge somebody else's faith or belief system, or if they convert. Like, you can join Freemasonry, certainly, and you can join Freemasonry and be a let's say Christian and convert to Judaism, or the other way, or anything in between. It's their personal spiritual and Masonic journey. It's our responsibility to be kind to them as they go on their spiritual journey. Demand Joan. Again, the technicalities of it, I have no clue. And I can't speak to that. I can only say that if I had a Masonic brother who, again, was converting to a different faith from, let's say he was Christian and was converting to Muslim, let's say he's converting to Judaism or vice versa, or whatever he is, I would support him on his spiritual journey. Um, well, I cannot speak to any of that, but nobody should be given birth control against their will. I did 100 and sorry, today I did 200 push-ups. Lazy lab rat, 200 push-ups. So I'm definitely not feeling lazy today. 200 push-ups in honor of the fact that twice as many men die by their own hand as women globally. We're going to talk in about another half an hour about the ways that we in maybe Freemasonry can support our men dealing with mental health issues. So there you go. Yes, with no wires or pulleys. It, if you want to be a member, Shadow, what you need to do is contact the Masonic Lodge in your area. So what you do is you find a Masonic Lodge within your area and you can approach them. You can write them a letter, send them an email, whatever else it might be that you need to do. Maybe again, I can't speak for Jeffrey Epstein and anything related to Judaism or his political beliefs or religious beliefs. I can just speak to Freemasonry. Okay, I know that there are Masonic lodges in Jordan. Now, I have heard that culturally, Shadow Titan, there is some suspicion of Freemasonry in Jordan. However, I know that there are Masonic lodges there. I just don't know where. I would assume in the larger city centers. So that would be my assumption, anyways. Okay, what's the capital of Jordan again? I used to know, but I'd assume that there are Masonic lodges there, to my knowledge. Um, Thank you, Poke Dream Lab. It was fun. It was really fun. It was a lot of work, but that's okay. We're at 200 push-ups. We got 150 more tomorrow, and then we're done. So I'm very proud. 200 in 200 in what is it now? I can't talk. 2,023 days. 200 today. Pretty impressive. So I hope you guys have been doing them with me. I know many of you guys told me you have. You don't have to do the full amount. Just do whatever you can do. Do whatever is comfortable for you. That's the most important thing, right? Are the remains under the lodge real? I don't know what you're talking about when you say the remains under the lodge. There are no remains under the lodge. So, very sorry to disappoint you. Um, there are no quote unquote remains under the lodge. Amman? Okay, there might be Masonic lodges in Amman. Masonic lodges in Jordan. So I guess Lodge Jordan number 1339 in Amman is referenced. So um, there is that one. I guess it's in the Grand Lodge of Scotland. It'd be really cool to visit a Masonic lodge in Jordan, but I would agree with you, Hers and Ritter. I think that's a real problem. I think when people are struggling in life, one of their very common things that they do is they will blame others or they will look for others to blame as opposed to looking in the mirror at their own problems in life. So, yeah, I think that's absolutely an issue. Well, I would say some masons are bad people, so are some plumbers, so are some, whatever it is. That's our nature, is there's always going to be some not so good people out there in the world, whether it be masons, plumbers, football players, politicians, police officers. Our job as Freemasons is to make sure as much as possible when we discover that there have been some not so good people in Freemasonry, if we have to, we inform the authorities. Otherwise, we inform the authorities. Otherwise, we suspend them from Freemasonry. At least that would be my humble opinion. That is true. Sir, on the JE thing, I'm not sure. Oh, it's a live stream. Let's see if I can find it now. Which date it was. I don't have it labeled. It's just one of my Masonic live streams. Let's see if I can find it for you. Da, da, da. Let's see. I think lodges in South America are awesome. I've been lucky enough to visit a few of them in Bogota, Colombia, and Rio de Janeiro, and they were both incredible. All right, live. Let's see. Um, so it was released on dun, dun, dun. Let's try it this way. Oh, here it is. All right. It was released on February 10th. The title is, let me put it in for you. This is the title. I do not know who Marvin is. I mean, Freemasonry, I've talked about this before. Freemasonry absolutely encourages us to consider our own mortality in a variety of different ways. But Freemasons, what the thing about Freemasonry, again, I always say is it encourages us to consider our own mortality. And to recognize that sooner or later, we're not going to be of this earth anymore. And as a consequence of that, we need to maybe be grateful for the time we have here on earth. Right? We need to be grateful for the time we have here on earth, try to use it as best we can for the betterment of ourselves and others. I'm sure it's difficult, but I have heard that it exists, but also it's somewhat kept not underground, but there's a lot of societal um, what's the word, pressures against Freemasonry in Jordan. Um, I mean, and also, David, you can just do it yourself. I mean, go to the Epstein Files search engine and type in Freemasonry and see what pops up. You can do it yourself. You don't need to rely on me. You can just do it yourself and see what pops up. You can type in the search terms Freemason, Freemasonry, Freemasons. See what pops up. That's why you need Jesus Christ to be saved. I mean, again, some Freemasons may agree with you, some may disagree with you. Freemasonry is not a religion. So there are many who are Christian and who would believe your, would say that to be saved in a spiritual sense or for eternal life, you need to believe in Jesus. Others may be Muslim, others may be Jewish, whatever it might be. So. By the way, who cares? Who cares? Where are you from? Out of curiosity, what part of the world will I find you in? Are you a Freemason yourself? I am not the head honcho. There is no head honcho within Freemasonry. Freemasonry is Freemasonry is decentralized. There is no single head honcho in like a global sense. Rather, individual Masons, there are individual jurisdictions. And even within my jurisdiction, I'm not the head honcho, that would be the Grand Master. And is his responsibility relates to his own particular like province area. So in Ontario, we have the Grand Master of Ontario. He is he is responsible for Freemasonry in Ontario. And if you want to argue it, the head honcho of Freemasonry in Ontario. He is not the head honcho, for example, for Freemasonry in Manitoba or Texas. So no, we do not want to steal anything. So who cares? Who cares? Where are you from? I'm curious. Are you a Freemason yourself? Obviously, Solomon is an important figure within Freemasonry. But I'm curious if you're a Mason or just interested, because I'm not sure if I've seen you on the stream before. Your name sounds familiar, but I can't place it. So you don't get recruited, musta. Rather, you join Freemasonry through your own free will and accord. You need to take the first steps. You approach a Masonic lodge and express your interest in joining. Ezekiel, the point of Freemasonry, there is no single point to joining. It's really up to each individual. So I can't really speak because I don't know what it is you'll be looking for. You can meet people you would not meet otherwise and make new friends and make good friends. You can, enjoy spending time with others. You can develop certain skills, confidence in things like public speaking, um, conflict resolution, meeting administration. There's a lot of different things that you can do within Freemasonry. Some people join because they have family members who are Freemasons, and as a consequence of that, they want to learn more about kind of Freemasonry and the craft from their family perspective or to be closer to their family. There are a million different reasons why people may want to join Freemasonry. I would need to know more about you again to know necessarily why it is that you're interested in joining. But I think it's worth joining 100% if you are so interested. Some actually, absolutely, Yo Maple. Some just enjoy the food, which is perfectly fine, by the way. People are absolutely welcome to enjoy the food if they want. There's nothing wrong with that. It's about enjoying Freemasonry. It's about wanting to be part of Freemasonry for a variety of different reasons. And whatever it is, is okay. Well, I would say if you're joining Freemasonry because you want to be connected and get some money out of businesses, that's not the best reason to join Freemasonry. Yes, you will increase your networking. Um, you will absolutely increase your quote unquote networking ability because you'll meet more people. That doesn't mean that you will get business deals or anything like that. So, um, you need to keep that in mind. A lot of people will join because they think they're going to get business opportunities, whatever it is. That's not the case. It is called Freemasons for one of two reasons. Either A, it references a type of stone, or it either references a type of stone called stone, like freestone, that experienced and dedicated Masons were able to work with. Or the other possibility, which is also possible, is it references the ability to travel. Masons were free to travel from place to place in order to get to earn a living for themselves and their families. Within Freemasonry, we call ourselves journeymen or travelers for the same reason. We are free to travel from lodge to lodge to grow within our Masonic journey. And yeah, Masons back in the day absolutely used handshakes to determine skill level. Maybe within Freemasonry we have handshakes or not, like the stonemasons did. If you want to find out for sure, you got to join. King Solomon is a great story. He's honestly a story I'd like to learn more about. I've actually tried to get a scholar on the channel to talk about King Solomon, um, but so far, no dice. But he is a fascinating story. With NetSuite, Reddit has. Oops, sorry about that. Whether he exists or not, I don't know. Whether he was an actual human being or whether he was just a theological figure, I don't know. So there are private Masonic rituals and ceremonies, which you learn as you go through the craft. I've always said it though, and I'll say it again. Must have done it. Within Freemasonry, I've never seen any evidence, or I've never seen any rituals, ceremonies, or you know, never seen any rituals, ceremonies, practices that are illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, or shall we say, familial employment responsibilities, right? Nothing illegal, nothing immoral, and nothing one would have to be concerned about. It's meant to convey practical lessons. That's all. I do not, I think what you mean is what's the point? I mean, the point is it's enjoyable to spend time with others, right? That's what the point is. It's enjoyable to spend time with other individuals, whether it be in masonry or playing football or whatever it is. That's kind of the point. Well, we don't want to erase anybody's mind, nor do we want to build anybody's mind. So there you go. That's not what Freemasonry is about. And yes, of course it is that you're free to move around already. But Freemasonry reminds us of our stone Masonic roots when it was tradesmen or journeymen. Absolutely, Yo Maple. By the way, are you Canadian and are you a Freemason with a term like Yo Maple? It's not all about secrets. It's all about civic engagement and community engagement. The private nature of rituals is simply a way for Freemasons to um, is simply a way for Freemasons to maintain the bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences and shared knowledge. Nice. What part of Canada are you from, Yo Maple? I'm from born and raised in Winnipeg. Currently live in Windsor. Been here for 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. So you can join different lodges. I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. Um, there is a separate entry process, but it's not difficult. It's basically what's called affiliation. So you just affiliate with other Masonic lodges. Well, strong forever. You can agree with me or disagree with me, but I would say you are incorrect. So, Cameron Adamson. Hello, Cubics. Oh, strong forever. It is what it is at all. That's a weird way to say that. Nice. Are you a Freemason, Yo Maple? Um, I think Quebec. I've been to Quebec a couple times. I'd really like to get there more frequently than I have. I'll say that. I feel like I haven't been there near enough. So believe me, it's on my list of places I'd like to visit. What's made in Canada? I mean, maple syrup. I don't know what you mean by that. What's made in Canada? I'm made in Canada and proud of it. So there's that for whatever it's worth. By the way, Mr. Keeps, welcome. Thank you for being here once again. I hope that you are doing well. Nice. When you say you're in the process, have you put in your application? Are you waiting on your initiation? Like, what's the current process for you? Nice. Have you been visiting the lodge for like dinners or special events, getting to know the guys? Because that's an important part of the process, right? You get to know them and they get to know you. Both are equally important. And by the way, if you guys are just joining, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And thank you everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. In some ways, you're right, Strong Forever, and in a lot of ways, you're incorrect when you say Freemasonry is so much deeper than what people really think. Freemasonry is deeper than what people think, but not in the way you think, right? Freemasonry is not deeper in the sense that there's no international Masonic conspiracy. None of that stuff is true. There is no New World Order. There is no mysticism or international crime syndicates or black magic or some special religious practices. None of that stuff is true. What is the case is Freemasonry, maybe more than many other organizations, has, tries to focus on helping people, helping communities, making the world a better place. And for many people, it has been literally life-saving in that it has supported people in times of difficulty, when their mental health is struggling, when their physical health is struggling, and help them get back on their feet physically, mentally, financially through charitable efforts, the Shrine Hospital. So you need to keep all of that stuff in mind. Well, if you want to learn about that stuff, Strong Forever, you can join. I've always said I don't discuss specifics of Masonic rituals. What I will say, and I've said this many times before, is when it comes to Freemasonry, there are no, I've never seen any initiations, rituals, practices which are against one's civic, religious, familial responsibilities, or which are illegal, immoral, or dangerous. Good, Yo Maple. It sounds like you're doing things exactly correctly. So keep up the good work. I forget, have you been on this stream before? Because I don't recognize your name. If this is your first time, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how you found me, and I wish you the best of luck in your Masonic journey. Like I said, this is the time as the application is being reviewed. I assume it's going up for a vote. This is a time when you can learn more about the Lodge, and the Lodge can learn more about you. And that's a really beautiful thing about it. Why is that relevant, Bill the Boxer? Why is being a 33rd degree so relevant? Why does it matter? What if I was a York Rite member? What if I was a Eastern Star? Remember the Eastern Star, right? Why is the 33rd so relevant when everything else is considered not important, right? I am an 18th degree Scottish Rite, but again, why is 33rd so important? Why is that relevant? It is like a brotherhood, and John Terry, the USA, is not a one big cult. I did a whole episode about cults and what their characteristics are. The USA does not have any of the characteristics of a cult. But again, the question is, Bill the Boxer, why does 33rd matter so much? Why is it relevant? What power, control, or influence do 33rd degree Masons exert over the craft? John Terry, why do you disagree? Well, Waco was an example of a specific cult. That doesn't mean Freemasonry is a cult. That doesn't mean the United States is a cult. Just because there were cult activities within the United States, right? That doesn't mean it is in and of itself a cult. So there you go. Well, 33rd is the most well-known, most popularly known, that's for sure. That doesn't mean it's actually the most relevant. You need to keep that in mind as well. Well, what is the truth? Like, what does that mean, right? So if I'm a third degree Mason, so let's say I join the York Rite of Freemasonry and join their various chapters till I get to the highest order in the York Rite. Am I less of a Mason than the 33rd degree Mason? Do I know less than the 33rd? Or does the 33rd know less than the York Rite, since they both join different bodies and have learned different things about the craft? Why is the 33rd the more correct version of Freemasonry than, say, York Rite, or than Demolay, or than Eastern Star? Right? What is it that makes the 33rd the most special type of knowledge when we have other orders within Freemasonry, or the Shrine for that matter, that all provide different and unique types of knowledge about the craft? What makes 33rd more special than, say, hold on just one second, let me get the term right. Thank you, Yo Maple. Right. What makes the 33rd degree more relevant to a Masonic journey than the Order of the Temple, Knight Templar, which is the final chivalric order? What makes it more relevant than Demolay, than Eastern Star, than a third degree Master Mason, right? Um, or for that matter, yeah, third degree Master Mason, right? Look, I've known many 33rd degree Masons. They're my brothers. I love them. They are excellent parts of the craft, but they're no more special or no more valuable than an Order of the Temple, a Knight Templar, or a Master Mason, or even members who are involved in the Shrine, or members who are involved in the youth groups, or members who are involved in all of the above, right? It's not as though you can judge Freemasonry based on any single degree. Having said that, my suspicion is you don't know what happens in a 33rd degree. Now, you could argue I'm not 33rd, I'm not, but I've read through, the history, and also I've been to 33rd degree events. And I've been a Freemason for 20 years, so I've seen enough for me to confidently say if there was any shenanigans going on with 33rds, I'd be aware of it. But, you have to take my word for it or you don't. Um, Well, it's not, there's no truth in Freemasonry, right? That's not how it works. That's not how it operates, right? There is no truth within Freemasonry. Well, let me rephrase that. There are Masonic truths within Freemasonry. So, for example, you learn about the degrees and you learn about Masonic history. And that type of truth is valuable because it creates bonds of brotherhood. I've said it before, the two ways to create bonds of brotherhood with each other is through shared experiences and through shared knowledge. So, for example, when Yo Maple goes through his degrees, he will be going through something that I have also gone through, that my brothers have gone through, that his brothers have gone through. And that will create a bond of brotherhood between us. And maintaining the privacy of those ceremonies and of those rituals is incredibly important and incredibly valuable because doing so ensures that we are able to, if I start to share secrets of rituals and ceremonies with people online, then the bond between past, present, and future generations is diluted because now that information has been shared to the public. It's like if Yo Maple and I were both part of the same family and we had a family recipe passed down from, let's say, our great grandparents. If I share that family recipe online, that limits or reduces or dilutes the connection that Yo Maple and I would have otherwise. In the same way, once he goes through his degrees, him and I will have a connection because we've both been part of a shared experience and have shared information. If I share that information with people on the stream or outside of it, whatever it might be, um, in my opinion, it helps to dilute that connection. At the end of the day, the rituals and ceremonies have already been passed on through, passed down through Masonic lines forever. Passed on in the public forever. They've gone from Masonic, passing down from Masonic generation to generation. They're out in the public. People have shared the secrets all over the internet, but it's not something I'm willing to do because it's about me, not about what others do. Um, That's a good question. I mean, there's two types of truth, right? There's, for example, if I had a family recipe, and I'm keeping it hidden, you could say I'm hiding the truth about my grandma's cookies, which is a type of truth. And that's the type of truth Freemasonry deals with. If you're speaking of truth in a more spiritual sense or religious sense, what you need to do is talk to your church, talk to your mosque, talk to your religious understanding or spiritual leadership as to how they understand truth, right? But there's a difference between truth within a religious context, which is not what Freemasonry is concerned about, and truth in a, I suppose, in an ethical context, which Freemasonry is concerned about. How to, the truth of how to exist within the world, how to live with each other, tolerance, respect, kindness, charity, um, all that good jazz. Hold on just 1 second. I feel like my camera is kind of out of focus. I'm going to just give it a quick wipe, see if that helps. I think that made things a little bit better. Does that look better? Because I felt like it was out of focus there. What makes me a communist? Crypt Total Recall. Freemasonry is not is not political. We have members of all different faiths and beliefs, um, and all different political persuasions. They could be communist, liberal, whatever it might be. Um, Everything is perception. What do you mean by that, Hollywood Uncovered? I feel like, yeah, my camera looks a lot better now than before. Much better focus. At least it looks that to me. Let me know if you guys think it looks better focused as well. So, Yo Maple, are you excited? And once again, for me, if I give you a bit of advice, just go into your degree not expecting anything. Just pay attention as much as you can. Enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. Just have fun, right? Um, and I'm sure you're very excited for it. I hope you'll come back on and keep me informed about how your degrees go, because I'd love to learn more about how your degrees are proceeding. Yeah, well, I mean, some Freemasons are rich, some are poor. When you talk about powerful, I mean, you have to define power. I mean, in my experience, Freemasons do not necessarily have any particular power. Some may be in finance, or some may be in governance, some may be janitors or custodians, right? Freemasonry is not about how much money you have, it's not about how powerful you are or how famous you are. It's about whether you're a good man and honorable, and that's it. That's what matters. Um, that's what's relevant. Well, not anyone, but we're not discriminating or dissuading anybody from joining based on how much money they have or how powerful they are, right? That's not what Freemason's all about. So when you say let anyone in, we're certainly not judging people based on their pocketbooks. Um, that is true, Yo Maple, but keep in mind, and this is something that some Masons, the older Masons, may balk at, there's a lot that the elders can learn from you as a younger man, right? A lot of times, new ideas for the craft, new ways to approach the craft, new ways to look at the craft, initiatives, plans, they can come from younger people with fresh perspectives. So you need to keep that in mind as well. Hold on just 1 second. Yeah. It's coughed up a bit of phlegm there. There we go. What I mean is the same situation can look completely different depending on how someone sees it. One person sees control, another sees coincidence, one sees opportunity, another sees perspective matters. Perspective matters a lot, and how you develop that perspective, and train your mind with that perspective is incredibly valuable because you're going to go through some hard times. trying to maintain a positive perspective is helpful. Freemasonry kind of teaches us that or encourages us to remember that. So, well, I don't know what the predatory list is, but some Masonic lodges will have background checks, including criminal record checks, during the application process. I think it's a good idea. I think every lodge should have a background checks and criminal record checks as a requirement. Good for you, Eggman. That doesn't make you a Freemason. What makes you a Freemason is your membership status combined with showing up and doing the work. Eggman, that is definitely not the case. That shows, very little about Freemasonry. All right, so I wanted to, and we're at 60 minutes in, I wanted to talk today about men's mental health because this morning, and thank you to everybody who joined. Let me see if I can find this. We did 200 push-ups because globally more than twice as many men die by their own hand than women. And so Freemasonry is not exclusively a fraternity. Oh, we got the old man, Mr. Keeps. This old man is coming out. People think about Freemasonry as exclusively a fraternity. It's not. Having said that, historically, you can think of it as a fraternity, and certainly there are far more many male Freemasons than women Freemasons, and there are also far more male exclusive lodges than either co-Masonic lodges or women Masonic lodges. I'm part of 5 Masonic lodges. All of them are fraternal. All of them are male exclusive. And so as a consequence of that, I think Freemasonry is absolutely within a very good position to try and help and support others who may be struggling. Yeah, you need younger members for obvious reasons, right? Obviously, I mentioned this before. If you are thinking of hurting yourself, there is the 988 Crisis Helpline. Help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call or text 988. You can get help in either English or French. It is bilingual. It is trauma-informed. It is available to anyone in Canada. There is also the Canadian Mental Health Association. There is the Canadian Association, the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, which does have free online courses for all ages. There is mygrief.ca, which is online resources for understanding and moving through grief. If you are First Nations, Inuit, or Métis, there is a toll-free number, 1-855-242-3310. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. There are also supports specific for veterans and their families. I know several veteran Freemasons. If you need to talk to somebody, you can call 1-800-268-7708. If you are a veteran, a family member of a veteran, and you're struggling with your mental health, you can do that as well. Again, I talked about 988, which is a number that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call or text. Either one is available. If you want to learn more about promotional materials isn't promotional materials for 988. basically materials that you can get and you can have on you to help those you think may be suffering or struggling. Um, you go to, and I'll leave the link in the description to this video, basically 988.gilmoreglobal.com. They've got wallet cards where you can hand them out to people. So if you're concerned somebody may be thinking about hurting themselves, it's a card you can give them that has the number that they can call. A conversation starter guide. All of these things are completely free, by the way. Fridge magnets, stickers, um, posters, and you can order them in both English and French completely for free. In terms of Zoloft, I mean, again, it's about talking to your doctor. Having a mental health issue should not make anybody feel ashamed to either bring it up to their doctors or medical professionals. And if they prescribe you medication, then absolutely, they prescribe you medication. Just make sure that you are always talking to a doctor and asking questions, right? Asking questions about the doctor, about the medication you're prescribed, about how it's making you feel. Keep communicating with your doctor regularly. That is really very important. You can also, as a Freemason, take your psychological first aid training course. The role of psychological first aid in crisis situations is to work with people and provide them with the resources and give them the skills to practice effective self-care and provide compassionate support to others during challenging times. It prepares individuals to address the immediate needs of those impacted by a traumatic incident, such as a natural disaster, helping to reduce distress and foster a sense of calm and safety. So again, having psychological first aid training, I think every Mason who's in a position of authority or a position of management in a lodge should have both physical and psychological first aid. But let's say you get a phone call from a brother who is struggling and is thinking of hurting himself. Do you know the 988 number that they can call, if they are struggling? Do you know about, for example, the number that they can call if they are Indigenous or First Nations, which again, 1-855-242-3310. Do you know about the number that veterans and their families can call, which is 1-800-268-7708? I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason for 20 years. So, yeah, I've been a Freemason for 20 years, or just about 20 years, 19 years, in fact, which is crazy to think it's been that long. I would say also a really important thing to keep in mind as we're talking about all of this, um, right, is there's the 988 number for thinking of self-harm. There's the 911 number for obviously any emergencies that you may be facing or in need of urgent medical support. There's also a lot of resources within communities and crisis lines that you can call. For example, if you're younger, right, youth and young adults, and Freemasonry, you can have members in some jurisdictions who are as young as 18 and others 21. The number to call is 1-800-668-6868, or you can text CONNECT to 686868. There's also the Indigenous number, which I discussed before. And then in Ontario, there is the Ontario Community and Social Services Helpline, which is 211. the seniors safety line, which is 1-866-299-1011, which is 24/7 and bilingual, and the victim support line, which is 1-888-579-2888. All of these numbers I'm going to leave in the description. Hollywood Uncovered, everybody gets different benefits from being a Freemason and a member of the Masons. I get the benefit of being part of my family, or being part of the same thing that my grandfather was a part of. He passed away before I was born, but I got to, by being part of the Masonic Lodge, I feel connected to him. I've developed certain skills and abilities, public speaking, memorization, organizing meetings, but more than anything else, I've developed the ability to, I'm put in a privileged position to try to make the world a better place. But ultimately, what do you benefit from going out with your friends on a Friday night? What do you benefit from being part of groups, be they formal or informal groups? People like to be part of groups. People like to be part of things. That's really important. So I think we as Freemasons, I used this term privilege before. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm going to use it again. We as Freemasons are in a privileged position to help those around us, specifically our Masonic brethren. And a big part of helping them is, first of all, simply being there and being present, right? Showing up for lodge and sitting next to somebody. You have no idea what that person could be going through. He could be considering harming himself. He could be considering taking his life. He could be considering any number of different things, or just going through a really hard time. He could be dealing with addiction and considering relapsing. Whatever it is he's dealing with and considering and thinking about, you don't know what it could mean for you simply to be there and sit next to him. Even if you never say anything to him or he never mentions what he's going through, just being around others who want him there, who want him to be present, who give him something to look forward to, something that he has to do, right? A lot of times, what keeps people from harming themselves is the knowledge that they have a prior commitment. They have somewhere they need to be. I have to go to a Masonic Lodge next week or next month or whatever it is. So you have no idea how valuable your presence is. You have no idea how valuable your attendance is. However, within that context, it is certainly and also the case that if a brother does approach you and express mental health issues, the fact that you're there at all and you're able to speak to them and talk to them, and they know that they can come to you and say they're having a hard time and struggling, that can be a huge benefit in and of itself, just right then. Even if you do nothing other than listen, how many men have somebody they can talk to and will listen to them about these challenges, right? Especially someone, on whom or who is not reliant on them. I think sometimes one of the reasons men can have a hard time talking to family, especially wives, about their mental health challenges is they come to feel as though, since they are maybe the primary breadwinner or they think they should be the breadwinner, they feel like they can't bring their emotional problems to their wives or their families or whatever it is, because they need to always appear strong, always appear in charge. At least when it's a friend where there is no leadership role, it's just two equals, two brothers, they can feel more comfortable talking about those things. And so that's an incredibly valuable thing that Freemasonry provides as well. But then if they are looking for some help and assistance, even if you don't feel comfortable providing it, you at least know the resources they can contact. Again, the 988 number, all the numbers I provided, which I'll leave in the description to this video. You're put in a privileged position to give those numbers to brethren and Masons if you are worried about them. Also, I've said this before, you are never going to bring the idea up to somebody by mentioning it. What I mean by that is, if somebody is considering taking their life, considering self-harm, don't be afraid to ask them the question. You're not going to put the question in their mind. A lot of people get this idea that if I don't bring it up, they won't think about it. They're either thinking about it or they're not. You asking is the most important thing, and then having the resources, the phone numbers to give them if they're concerned. Taking psychological first aid as well, right? So you feel confident and comfortable. Well, I mean, Hollywood, there's nothing special about Freemasonry. It's the relationship between the Mason and the lodge, between the individual and the lodge. Like my favorite song is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, right? That's my favorite song. Um, of any song in the world. My favorite song is Simple Man. You and I could say I like about the song. Well, I like the lyrics. A lot of songs have every song has lyrics. I like the melody. A lot of songs, every song has a melody, right? Why can't I listen to a different song and get the same thing? Well, because I love that song. And that's not a reflection of the song, that's a reflection of me and something within the song itself. Um, Orion Metallica, sure. But and Freemasonry is no different. I mean, you could develop those skills and abilities. You could find a sense of community by joining a knitting club, by joining a sports team. For whatever reason, there's something about Freemasonry that speaks to me and that I respond to. And I'm very lucky to have that. Some people go through their whole lives and never find anything within their life that, never find anything within their life that speaks to them in the way Freemasonry speaks to me. But that doesn't mean Freemasonry is better than, again, a knitting club, a sports team, whatever it is. It just means Freemasonry is better for me because of what speaks to me. When we stand together, good Canadian, picking Nickelback, Yo Maple is definitely a good Canadian brother. Class just started. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I have no son, um, though it's news to me. All right, guys, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're just joining us. Thank you all for being here. And I guess the last thing I'd say is please make sure that if you are thinking of hurting yourself, if you are struggling, there is no shame in finding someone to talk to. Obviously, that can include and should include medical professionals, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, your family doctor. However, within that content, if you're a Mason, there's no harm in trying to approach a brother. To Masons out there who are concerned if they would have the ability to support a brother who's struggling, take a psychological first aid course, learn about the resources available, write them down somewhere, keep them in the lodge so you always have somebody to call if you need any, if you have any concerns or help, or you need any assistance, or you want to assist somebody else, I should say. Yo Maple, the Tragically Hip are great. I would say Wheat Kings is my favorite song by them. I've always loved Wheat Kings very much. And by the way, we're at 3,610 subscribers. So thank you so much, everybody, for that. It's great to see things growing. You can call the Ghostbusters if you want, by all means. I don't know how much they'll be able to help you in this particular circumstance, but go ahead. By all means, you can call those Ghostbusters. It'd be interesting to see what happens. Yes, I am a Freemason, Best Friend Productions. Please hit like and subscribe. Consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. My goal for this channel is to turn my passion for Freemasonry into profession by producing content that talks about the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it is located. It's a great song. I mean, my favorite Canadian song of all time would probably be Lost Together by Blue Rodeo. It's a pretty great song. Though I really love Sarah McLachlan's Building a Mystery and Sarah McLachlan in general. And we're back to just hanging out. We're going to wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you all for being here. And we're just going to wait now and just take any questions or comments that people may have. Let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about. Again, what I do with these streams is the first 60 minutes is just taking general questions, and then I switch it up and provide specific content, specific discussion points, and then I go back to just taking general questions and just hanging out. You're a Freemason, Lodge number 914. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Well, Bull, then you are better man than I, because I was thinking of trying to get to Scream 7. I think it'd be really cool. What did you think? I heard it's got some not so good reviews. I mean, I plan to watch it. I'm sure I'll like it. I've liked all of the Prime. I've liked all of these Scream movies so far. A lot of them are available on Prime Video right now. What is your what would you say is your A, your favorite Prime movie, and B, what would you say is your like what do you think of Scream 7? Sorry, what's your favorite Scream movie and what do you think of Scream 7? And I got the chance to meet Neve Campbell, a couple of times. She's really friendly. I went to these flashback horror movie conventions where they were celebrating Scream, so it's really fun. It's really cool. She's really cool people. I mean, I don't. Does Scream 3 have a lot of hate? I mean, I love Scream. I think Scream, the original, sorry, Scream 3. I think Scream 3 is absolutely awesome. Genuinely, like the entire Scream series, I will say, to its credit, it has like no, there are no bad movies within the Scream franchise. They're all really good. In some ways, you're right, Hollywood. I would say that's a good way to think about it. There is no secret knowledge, just undiscovered awareness. Who's Scott Foley? That name sounds familiar. I just can't think of from where I get it. Scott Foley. Okay, he was. Oh, he was the killer in Scream 3. That's right. Spoilers. Spoiler alert. Well, Scream 3 has definitely always been the like dark horse of the franchise. I think because it kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? It was so different, right? It was set in Los Angeles. It had a single killer instead of multiple killers. It's one of those things where I think for a lot of people, it's just so unique. Um, yeah, it had the voice changers. Like it had so many different unique things within it. So I think that is kind of why it's the dark horse. Even the whole backstory of Sydney's mother, which you'd think would get explored better, right? It's not. It's funny. Like you'd think in the latter movies, especially the fourth one, they would explore that whole backstory more because it's crazy the idea of her being in Hollywood and her being harmed by Hollywood and then kind of the lasting effects of it. Even when Sydney's working at that crisis line, answering phone calls from abused women. They never really touch on that in any of the future movies, which I kind of wish that they did. So I'm hoping that Scream 7 at least brings up some of those threads because I feel like we're missing out on those. For me, my favorite, though, is Scream 4. I think that's the best one. I think Stu is still alive. I think Stu is still alive. I was a Stu fan. Because I just think it's one of those things where it's like, how much can you do? with this franchise at this point, except to bring back some of these characters like a Stu Mocker. But we'll see. We shall see. So Bolsack, I do have a channel where I talk about those things. It's youtube.com/at Cameron Adamson. youtube.com/at Cameron Adamson. Um, so yeah. Well, meeting anyone that you can learn something from is a privilege. That's how I would put it. So youtube.com/at Cameron Adamson. That's what you guys want to check out for my stuff on scary movies. I do, not as much as on this one. This is the one where I'm most focused on right now, but I'm trying to grow my other channels as well. So please subscribe to me at Bolsack. I'd very much appreciate it. And for the time being, we're just going to wait to hang out, wait to see who joins. Once again, please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and I hope you are all doing very well. Let me know what you thought of my questions or my topic, I should say, on psychological first aid, on supporting those who are struggling. And yeah, let me know how it's going. I'm not shocked. I mean, which is fine. Look, I can't judge the fact that they keep taking these series and spreading them out. I've always been a defender of all of the Halloween films, all of the Nightmare films, all of the Friday the 13th films. And so as a consequence of that, it's kind of one of those things where it's very hard for me to like, I'm not going to talk poop about, they could go to Scream 12, Scream 13, who knows? It doesn't shock me. I do hope they maybe bring back, I can't think of her name now, Ortega and I think Melissa, right from Scream 5 and 6. I like those characters a lot. I thought they were really cool. But we shall see. Um, well, I look forward to seeing Scream 8. I mean, the ultimate question about the Scream franchise has always been, um, the challenge has always been the fact that they don't have a single, like in every other horror franchise, it's the villain that comes back again and again, right? Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Candyman, Leprechaun. It's a single villain and then a rotating cast of protagonists. I will say, though, the best of all of those films are the ones in which at least one or two of the protagonists returns from film to film. The best in the Nightmares franchise is Nightmare 3, Nightmare 4, and Nightmare 5, all of which feature recurring characters outside of the villain. The best Friday the 13th is part 6, which has recurring characters from part 4 and 5. The best Halloween um, would be, the original, the second, H2O, and then the Rob Zombie films, all of which also feature recurring characters. So, but Scream is kind of is at a disadvantage because it has to invent basically an entirely new villain each movie, which does make it challenging, which is why I think Stu Macher is probably alive and coming back, because from a narrative sense, it would make sense that he returns. Um, well, no, Bolsack, stop. No spoilers. What's wrong with you? Um, yes, 8 hours is very important. My name is Cameron. I don't know if what you said is true or not, but for heaven's sakes, no spoilers. How about that? I don't want to ruin anybody's movie going experience. Oh, well then still don't be saying it. I mean, the example for this is kind of like even giving a pretend or fake spoilers is not good because people go in expecting certain things, right? Like that's the danger of, which why I don't talk about Masonic ritual and ceremony. Because, for example, even though what Yo Maple goes through and what I went through in our ceremonies will be similar and there'll be a common understanding, there's also differences in jurisdictions. If I start telling Yo Maple what I went through in my experiences or with my ritual, he's going to go in expecting certain things. And if they don't happen, he's going to be disappointed. He's not going to be focusing on the degree in front of him. Instead, he's going to be thinking about what he expects to happen. Same thing with, same thing with giving fake spoilers. You have people going in expecting a certain thing instead of just focusing. It would have been cool if she was supposed to be the killer. I mean, I thought she did a great job in 5 and 6, so you're right with that as well, Hollywood. Sometimes, well, I mean, having a secret is what makes people want to know it. It's like the family recipe thing, right? It's like if you know there's a family recipe, all of a sudden you get really excited about it. So even if the recipe is not that great, it's the idea of secret knowledge that makes people want it, which is kind of one of those, it's just a unique thing about human nature. If I give you something, if I give you a piece of knowledge, you might appreciate it, you might not. However, if I try to keep something hidden from you, suddenly you think that piece of knowledge is the most valuable thing in the world. So there you go. But I will, I think, be going to see Scream 7. I think Mr. Keeps asked me above if I'm going to go see it tonight. I have no idea. Maybe. I haven't really thought about it one way or the other, to be honest. I've never heard of jet skiing during a baptism. I would be concerned about having a jet ski baptism situation. I feel like that was probably not what the Christian faith would have in mind, personally. I think it'd be great to have The Rock in a Scream movie. What are you talking about? I support having The Rock in a Scream movie 100%. So let's see what happens. At this point, these movies are always going to get a little bit silly as they go on. Sometimes that can work in their favor. I've been a defender of Scream 5 forever. Excuse me. I've been a defender of Halloween Part 5 forever. I've been a defender of Halloween Resurrection forever. So it's one of those things where I'm not going to knock getting silly, and maybe The Rock would bring some fun silliness to a Scream movie. Um, Thank you, brother Courtney. That's incredibly kind of you. I appreciate that. I might, I might be making my way to Texas soon, but it'll be the Dallas Fort Worth area. I don't know for sure. Something just came up. I just got an invitation. I'll see what I can do. Hello. Well, we got some politics in the chat. Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not political. So we have many different brethren who have many different beliefs. Some may be Democratic, some may be Republican, liberal, conservative, left, right, center, whatever it might be. But thank you for that, Courtney. That's incredibly kind of you. Being a member is always a privilege. You're absolutely correct. I agree with that 100%. I think it's, being alive is a privilege. Being Canadian is a privilege. So it's one of those things where that's absolutely the case. Um, I'm sure they would have Yo Maple. Um, we should actually, it's funny, within Freemasonry, one of my favorite stories is I went to this Masonic Lodge meeting in beautiful, oh my gosh, Rising Sun Lodge in, I can't think of the city, in Illinois, just north of Glenview, where I always stay. But I went to this Masonic meeting, and afterwards, so it's the Masonic Lodge was right on a lake. And after we left, we all had our suits and tuxedos on, and we saw this couple that was kayaking. And they had some extra kayaks, and a couple of us got into kayaks together in our tuxedos. And there's pictures of us kayaking in tuxedos. It was pretty fun. Um, why do you want to be canceled, 11? Why can't you just have the self-control to not do anything foolish? If you're asking to be canceled, that makes me question your self-control. Um, I love Canada, Yo Maple, proud to be Canadian. I've always said we in Freemasonry should always love the country in which we live. We should be citizens first. I've always said Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. Um, so, as always, please take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the stream. Thank you all for being here. I hope everybody's doing well. Hello, Viking Toa. There are many Freemasons who are Christian. I'm guessing you are with that statement. But Freemasonry is not a religion. We have men of many different faiths and beliefs. Well, how about you hit the like and subscribe button and find a better use of your time? Um, well, there you go. I don't know if your brother who invited you, will be wearing suits during the fishing charter, but you do it. I wish you the best of luck. And take some pictures, put it on social media of you fishing in a suit. Well, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I like the character Dewey a lot, but I think at a certain point you need to get some stakes. And if you kind of have this idea that you know, Dewey, Gale, and Sydney are going to survive, it kind of lowers the stakes it lowers the tension because they're going to survive. So I think taking out Dewey was the right thing to do because it made it feel like, oh, anybody can go, right? I would not even be opposed, and I know this might be might be a sacrilegious opinion. I would not be opposed if they killed Sydney, to be honest. Um, because again, it's so unique, Scream, having the same, like having the antagonists or the protagonists survive over the antagonists. I think sometimes it can lead to a level of staleness if you're not careful. I've not seen Scream 7 yet, though, so what do I know? Nice, Mr. Courtney. Nice. And tell you what, I will send you, because you did give me that $5, which is incredibly kind of you. I'll send you a bookmark in a couple of weeks, because I appreciate you sending me the super chats. Um, why not? I mean, Sydney's been around for what, 8 movies at this point? 7 movies? I know she wasn't in 6, but her name was still mentioned. Like, there's got to be a point where you get a new antagonist in this film. That's why I really liked Melissa. I'm kind of sad she's not in it. Although again, I don't want to prejudge. I haven't seen it yet, and I don't think prejudging is ever a good idea. Well, but I mean, which final girls? So obviously, the best example of a final girl making it multiple movies and surviving is Lisa Wilcox, who portrayed Alice Johnson. Um, my favorite final girl, my favorite film character, part of my favorite movies. So yeah, but I don't know. There's a point where it's getting like maybe we get some new people in. Um, but that is one of the questions people ask: Who is the greatest final girl of all time? Right? I mean, normally the judgments go Nancy from Nightmare, Laurie from Halloween, Sydney from Scream. Usually are the ones that you get. Sometimes you get I can't think of her name now. Ashley from the Hellraiser series. There's not really any iconic final girls in the Friday the 13th franchise, as in the other ones, but I gotta go with, for me, my favorite final girl of all time is Alice Johnson from part 4 and 5. In fact, I'll be right back. Just one sec. Check out this awesome mug I got, the Crave In mug, signed by Lisa Wilcox. She worked in the Crave In Diner in Nightmare Part 4 and 5. So I love this mug very much. It's one of my favorite possessions. The Crave In Diner, signed by Lisa Wilcox. I was thinking of getting the plate this year for Christmas. Um, I mean, it depends how they do it, obviously. You know, if they did it off screen or just like, I don't know, kind of 30 seconds or something, that could be disrespectful. But I think there's ways to do it where it carries on the legacy. I agree, it is awesome. Yeah, you love Wes Craven. I think Wes Craven is awesome. One of the greatest horror directors of all time. So masonry is not my full-time job, but this channel is my full-time job. And trying to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession is a full-time job. If you want to help me out, hit the like and subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Masonry itself is not a paid position, but that doesn't mean that you cannot, within Freemasonry, again, try to create content and hopefully develop some type of paid position. Um, this is my own business, Grand Compass Promotions. Sleepaway Camp is awesome. It's one of the greats. One of the great campy horror films. It was always shown back in the day on Comet TV. So I used to watch it on that all the time. Right now, not a lot, but I'm growing. If you want to help me, do a 99-cent super chat. There's also Patreon. You need to get monetized, which means you need to get sufficient hours of watch time. So it just takes time and effort. Well, I mean, the square and compass themselves are trademarked, but my symbol is not. I mean, it's references Freemasonry, but it is trademarked. It's my own symbol. So there you go. Yes, trying to do my income tax right now as well. I'm just waiting on a couple slips and documents, and I'm going to start doing it ASAP because I want to get it done sooner rather than later because it's a lot of work. So it's one of those things I'd like to get finished. The Fly was a great movie. I agree with that. I enjoyed The Fly very much. Um, I'm usually not a fan of body horror, but I do like The Fly. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed The Fly and Mary Heat. I agree, taxis is a pain in the butt, but it's a part of it. Certainly for me, owning my own business, Grand Compass Promotions, I got to pay attention to my taxes. That's a big part of what I do. So, yeah, absolutely. And it's important for Freemasons as well to pay attention to the tax obligations related to their Masonic buildings, Masonic charitable foundations. All of that stuff matters a lot as well. And being charitable. And by the way, just because it's tax time, we shouldn't forget there are many ways to be charitable. Yes, you can be charitable with your taxes, with your income. You can also be charitable with your time, with your forgiveness, with your kindness, with your understanding, um, with your effort, with yourself, with forgiveness. There are many different ways to practice charity outside of financial donations. Um, well, I've always said we within Freemasonry are citizens first. So, I mean, I would support Canada. Obviously, American Masons should support America. Now we should fight as hard as we can to make sure there is no world war. And I don't just mean Masons, I mean everybody, because the next world war could very well be the last world war if nuclear weapons get involved. But yeah, it's we as Freemasons have responsibility to spread brotherly love and respect, but also to recognize that we are citizens of our country. Um, and how we square that, I guess every Mason will decide for himself. So I think Saw 2 is the best Saw movie by a mile. I think it's genuinely just a great movie. So I, as a general rule, am not a big fan of the like torture style movies like the Hostels, the Saws, all that. I of all of those types of movies, the Saw franchise is my favorite version of it. There were way too many apprentices, I feel like, but I did enjoy Jigsaw. But I think the Saw franchise is one of those franchises that really peaked early with the second, which is genuinely just an incredible film, an incredible movie. So, um, yes, I agree with Yo Maple. Let's have no wars, please. Well, the next world war may, I mean, it's dangerous, but if it's fought with nuclear weapons, then who knows what happens. But the world war after that would be fought with sticks and stones. That's for sure. Well, I would up until I didn't have to anymore. ND range. So, for example, um, like a good example of it is in the Civil War, where you had Masons on both sides. They fought against one another, but then after the battle was finished, and I think it was the Union side had won that particular battle, there was a Freemason on the battlefield who had been shot. As he was dying, the Union Mason recognized him as a brother and sought to assist him and eventually returned his belongings to his family when he couldn't help him. It's from the brother to brother story and the brother to brother tribute in or monument in Gettysburg. And I would do that again. I would first fight to make sure the battle was won for Canada. But afterwards, I would do my best to help any brethren that I could. You know, but this goes to this idea of can Freemasonry potentially end or stop wars from starting? I've used this example a whole bunch of times, so forgive me for chewing my food twice, but I really enjoyed the movie House of Dynamite. And there's this great scene in that movie where um, you have so basically the premise is there is a missile heading to Chicago. This is the movie. There's a missile heading to Chicago. They detect it over the Pacific Ocean. America does. And they realize it's going to hit Chicago and there's going to be a nuclear detonation. And they don't know who shot it or who sent it. And so um, the Russians are freaking out because they're worried America's going to retaliate against them and blame them for this. And nobody knows who sent it. But there's this scene where the Russian defense minister and the American undersecretary of defense is talking on the phone. And the American secretary or undersecretary of defense says, look, if we get this wrong, nobody's alive tomorrow. Because if they get it wrong and they retaliate with nuclear weapons, then that's the end of the world. It always got me thinking, if both of them had been Freemasons, would they have had more of a level of trust with one another? Would they have more of a level of kind of support for one another? And would they have been more likely to believe one another and ratchet down the tensions when the Russians say, we didn't send the missile, please don't blame us and attack us? So we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. I'm doing my best to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah, we do host ladies' nights and family picnics for lodges in Canada. So, well, it depends on your jurisdiction, but actually my lodge is working on a ladies' night right now. I believe they're planning to host it in May, so we shall see. I think May 1st is when they're planning to do it. As always, please take a moment. If you're just joining, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you all for being here. This is a great cup. This is my Tim Hortons mug. See? It says Tim Hortons right there. Good Canadian company. If you're just joining, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'm hoping to get over 4,000 subs before the end of March. We shall see. Oh yeah, they do that all the time, which is really cool. Many lodges have special events. I mean, our Masonic buildings do not belong exclusively to Freemasons. In many ways, they belong to the entire community, which is something I love about Freemasonry, right? And I think the extent that our buildings are being used is better for Freemasonry as a whole. We need to remember that Freemasonry is absolutely and without question part of the community, and our buildings need to reflect that. We're going to give this a little bit longer. I mean, I do advertise on YouTube a fair bit. I could advertise more, that's for sure. So I'm working on it. But yeah, the man knows JR. I definitely want to keep on trying my best to advertise to my Masonic brethren and non-brethren alike. This channel is meant to be for both Masons and non-Masons. So Spellbinders of Suspense, I think you're new. Please hit like and subscribe. I mean, I've never understood that. I've had other people on the stream tell me that, you know, to be a Christian, you cannot swear an oath, therefore they couldn't join Freemasonry. That's not something I understand, because how do you be a Christian and a doctor when you have a Hippocratic oath, or go to court and swear to tell the truth on a Bible, or join the military? Oaths are a part of many different professions, careers, whatever it might be, right? So I've never understood that. Yo Maple brings up the same point. Thank you, Anthony Reed. That's incredibly kind of you, and I very much appreciate that. Really, that's not really something I've ever understood, is this idea of not being able to take an oath or an obligation. Angel Jimenez, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Well, I'm talking about Freemasonry, and I'm primarily talking about the fraternity, but there is male and female Freemasonry. And I don't believe you're the real Khabib. No, I appreciate that. Never, even $2 is incredibly kind of you, and greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. Mr. Keeps says sheesh. I'm not sure what Mr. Keeps is saying sheesh for. Is suffering necessary for growth? Can happiness exist without sadness? I mean, I think, I don't know if, I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to define suffering. I definitely think struggle is necessary to grow. I mean, it's like exercise, right? Exercise is a struggle, but through that struggle, we become stronger. The extent to which you view it as suffering, I think, is a little bit more complicated. Because when it comes to suffering, I would say, it's not, suffering is maybe more how you view the situation. Struggle is putting a more positive spin on it, because through the other side of struggle, you get stronger and better. Well, you should focus on work, obviously, Mr. Keeps. I don't want to get you fired by any means. So focus on work, but, that's got to come first. I'm sure you're very busy, so I appreciate you being here at all. I need more exercise. We all could use more exercise, Courtney. Just do what you can, right? Do what you can. Oh, well, that's good. Although, careful, you're sounding a little bit like you might be flying a little bit too close to the sun there. Um, but still, I suppose when you're the IT guy, you do have a certain level of invincibility, um, because you know how to. You're the only one who knows how to get people's email. We got a bit more time. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I hope everybody's doing well. I mean, I don't believe in the supernatural. So as a consequence of that, certainly I believe it's possible for consciousness to exist within a computer. I don't think there's anything. I mean, I don't believe, for example, that artificial intelligence right now is conscious, but if it were to get to that point, it wouldn't shock me. And then we have a responsibility, I think, to treat it in the same manner we would treat any other conscious entity, including humans, with respect and kindness. Well, once again, let's not be flying too close to the sun, just for the record. You could argue we are, Yo Maple. You could argue we're complicated biocomputers. I mean, it gets one of those questions, right? How you define humanity, everybody decides for themselves. I think there is, without a doubt, within us a immortal idea, something kind of, you could argue, the center of the circle that is kind of a sacred thing. But I don't think that sacred thing has to be necessarily preclude the possibility of other life. I mean, what would be the difference if we were, I don't believe in aliens, but let's say we were to discover aliens, right? What would be the difference? Why would an alien be any less worth our respect than humans, than AI, et cetera, et cetera? I have seen Terminator, but I think that's very unfair to machines. In my experience, machines and technology have been nothing but helpful to us. And I do like Terminator, actually. I think Terminator 2 is the greatest action movie of all time. So there you go. A moment on a show that stayed with me long after the mic turned off. Um, I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by the mic turned off, but the speech in the Angel television show, Epiphany, that's up there near the top. I do not. I do not believe there's other life forms out there. Even Space Legume, I don't think he's actually from space, nor is he a legume. I think we're alone in the universe. Some Masons are gay, some are straight. Doesn't make a difference. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on, you know, one's sexual orientation. Oh, what's a moment on my show? Oh my gosh, that's an interesting question. I mean, definitely when I reached my 4,000 hours of watch time in 12 months and became fully monetized, that was a moment. Once I realized I'd reached that moment, that was a really big deal for me because it just was kind of a culmination of, years and years of hard work and cultivating an audience. That was a huge deal for me. The first super chat I got was a pretty big deal for me as well. Doing the first 24-hour live stream and seeing, the massive increase in views, hearing people tell me that were considering joining Freemasonry because of my stream, that's a pretty big deal as well. So We do not use Baphomet. Baphomet, to my understanding, is a religious figure within Christian mythology, I think, or theology might be the better term. Freemasonry is not a religion. So um, I did my push ups, but you can find them on YouTube. So there you go. Um, well, if time is infinite, then, I mean, yes, everything that can happen will happen. I don't know if time is infinite or not, though. I think the universe might be infinite. And even though I think the universe is infinite, I still don't believe there are aliens. I think maybe there may be other versions of us, just copies of us, far enough away. But there you go. Um, but I did my push-ups already. I did one for the lodge as well. So I did one for the lodge as well. So I did 201. John, it depends where you're living, but you need to find the closest Masonic lodge within your area and go from there. There are different infinities. I really like the Vsauce article that talks, or Vsauce, I think it's Vsauce um, video that talks about the different infinities and infinities hotel and the idea of infinity plus one. It's a really cool thing. But there are countable and uncountable infinities. So there you go. So 12th, we don't have ranks in Freemasonry. That's not the right way to think about it. A better way to think about it is degrees and offices. I'm a third degree Master Mason, 18th degree Scottish Rite, and I am a worshipful master of my lodge. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Well, yes, type in Hilbert's Hotel, and that gives you a really good explanation of different types of infinity. No, there is no Masonic God, nor is there anyone who is like a god within Freemasonry. That's not how it works. Freemasonry is not a religion. We don't venerate any individuals. That's one of the reasons why it's not a cult, just to keep that in mind. It's just an honorific degree or an invitational degree. Um, and by the way, to everybody watching this, don't forget also to leave some comments on my videos. I am seeing a lot of increasing comments within my videos or under my videos. That helps big time showing engagement. So please comment on my videos. Say hello, do some hearts. Courtney, you are great at that, and I greatly appreciate all of the different comments you provide. It's wonderful. Thank you for all of your help. Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's some indication that maybe a level of deference, but you will get that same level of respect if you're an entered apprentice, but showing up to every meeting and cleaning the lodge. I would say the amount of respect you get is primarily based on how hard you're willing to work, as it should be. But even within that, there is the base level of brotherly love that every Mason should extend to every other Mason. Um, yes, we get the time travel lessons. I would love to know how to travel through time. It'd be really, really cool. Um, The ain't there for spiritual life pretense is astounding. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but okay. Um, if I could travel in time, that'd be a good question. If you could travel in time to any point in time, when would it be? All right, we're going to be ending this stream for the time being. I will be back on. I like my hair just the way it is. Thank you very much. The Roman Empire would be incredible. I'm going to be ending this stream. However, I will be back on tomorrow, or sorry, at 1 a.m. on, I guess, 27th, then 10 a.m. for the final set of push-ups. Um, well, I'm not worried about them. They don't have to remote view me. They can just view me. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Remember the resources I provided. I'm going to later on leave those in the description to this video so you can find them there shortly. Thank you all for being here.